Hello and welcome to my channel. For this episode, we're gonna be going back to my roots. It is always nice to go back to my roots. Roots being where I started, or what inspired me to do this kind of hobby, collecting knives and being knowledgeable on sharp things. If you've been a subscriber or been watching my channel, you would know that I was turned into this sharp thing bladed hobby via the ever reliable karambit for self-defense, to protect yourself and to cut some tapes off boxes that you get, and for everyday mundane task. Now, the second thing that turned me into this hobby was none other than the flipper knife. Mostly because of this guy. Still being in the karambit, but you know the Fox has this tab and has that flipper tab. But for the Foxes, for this sample of karambit, that sucks. See? It's not as good as a flipper unless you know how to do that finger flick, and it still deploys. Because of that, I was turned into flipper knives. Flipper knives are nice. It's the equivalent of a spinner when the spinners were not around. And this is one of those examples that I got very early on when I was collecting. You don't see this sample very often, especially with this tan G-10 handle. The origin of this knife is much more rarer, and this would be a collaboration knife between two Russian knife makers. These knife makers are pioneers. I don't know if they're pioneers, but they're really big name Russian makers, and that would be Sergei Shirogorov and Dmitry Sinkevich. These two guys made a collaboration, and this knife was its child. This knife would be known as the Sinkevich Koordinal. That's Koordinal. Koordinal. Such a unique name for such a rare knife. The original knife would have a ZDP 189 blade, and it's already out of production, so there's just no chance. Aside from it being very expensive, I don't know how much it is now, but there's just no way for you to get that, being a normal guy. Guys that are knife collectors are already battling so they can get their hands on this kind of knife. What more for knives that are just like me? Guys just like me. There's absolutely no chance. So I gladly settled for this kind of knife because this one is a Chinese made, and the Chinese maker for this knife would be DAI. Or DAI. That's A space DAI. He's also got his name very familiar within the Chinese knife community. Very respectable also because he's turning out really nice knives. Design copies, of course. And why would you not copy a design? An existing design that makers don't make no more, just so that the knife value would not depreciate. It being rarer, the numbers smaller, no more production runs, so it's just the knife is just gonna continue to appreciate. So enter the Chinese makers. Lots of you guys would always know that's counterfeit. That's a knife is a knife, and China is not accounted into whatever they do there. It's not they're not covered with the copyright laws in China. Try going to China and tell it to them face to face. I know that it still sounds like a dickhead, but Whatever, dude. There are lots of things similar to this happening. And don't bust your nuts off just so that you can get your point across. I understand what you're getting at, but I have this knife, so just drink some ginger tea. Going back to the knife. This knife, like I said, is a rare Russian knife collaboration design between two knife makers. And this knife, since you cannot get your hands on the original authentic knife that the Russian makers made, you're gonna have to settle for a Chinese made by a guy called DAI. And this is the DAI Koordinal in tan G10 with a 9CR13 MOV stainless steel. I don't know about you, but the exact lines of the Sinkevich Shirogorov Koordinal is still very much in there. Hear this. Oh, sorry. I was trying to make the mosquito pop with this guy. So the main outline is still there. And what I'm trying to do now is find the mosquito. No, I need to find the cutting plate so that I can cut something with this thing. Oh, there you go. Sorry about that. Yes. The DAI Z0. You're gonna find it in DH Gate. I have a Chinese supplier. His name is Ben, and the store is Decoria, and that's a solid store. Go visit that and search for that. This I bought about 3 years ago, so don't expect this exact knife to be there, because these guys, I would say that this is as rare as the authentic Sinkevich Koordinal. There's not much copies that go by with this tan G10, so that's good. Some guys would hate it, especially the guys that have the original Sinkevich, which paid like 800 to 1,000 bucks for it, but this is not as near what I paid for it. But now, since it's also a bastard child, not a legitimate child, it is as rare as it can be, since they're very low in numbers. Let's just try and weigh this guy. .3 ounces, just right. How long? Although it's already at, I would say that's already at 60%. The flipping action of this one is so nice, and I can play with this all day long. Right-handed, left-handed, single-handed operation. Let's try to compare it with other flippers then. The Wild Boar Overkill, one of the best flippers that I have. The ZT, what's this again? 0700, really nice flipper as well. And And this guy, the Les George Eagle copy of Blissed Wing. This one feels a bit solid. This one also nice. This one with the G-10, just much like this, because these guys are titanium scales. And this guy fires along with the best of them. The build quality on this one is impeccable. DAI has done a really good job in building this one. The detail on the pins. And I really like this knife. One of my favorites. One of my favorite. The G-10 is just smooth out, and the contour. I mean, everything is symmetrical on this knife. You can clearly see that there has been really good attention to detail when this guy was made. And at the time that I bought it, not over $100, and it was on sale. But now you can't find it. And that's the nice thing about knife collecting. Buying at the right proper time, and I think I'm not the only one doing that. Lots of guys doing this with other knives. And since it's yours, have fun with it. Because that's the nice part about collecting knives. Not just knives, collecting things. If it's important to you, if it made you feel better, if it made you feel well, as long as you're not trampling on other people, I mean, this is a win-win situation for everyone. This would also go back to the original manufacturer. For example, if a guy like me can afford this, then you go research on where this really came from, you would end up to the original guys, Sergei Shirogorov and Dmitry Sinkevich. And now you know better. You know, if ever you're gonna become a millionaire, like for example instantly, like Conor McGregor fighting something like that, so you can have, I don't know, if you still want to buy knives, you probably buy Rolls Royces and things like he's buying now, and mansions. But I hope you get my point. I guess that will be all for this video. I hope you liked it. I'm still trying to experiment with my camera, and I hope you like the resolution of this camera. If not, do let me know in the comments. I'd go back to my original camera, and let's see where we can go from there. Thanks for watching the video. Keep the support coming. I do appreciate it, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video.